We begin with China-U.S. trade talks in Madrid, and both delegations have confirmed a framework agreement on TikTok. It comes days before another deadline that could have banned the popular social media app in the U.S. The delegations, led by Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, resolved that the sides will cooperate on the issue, reduce investment barriers, and promote relevant economic and trade cooperation. He Lifeng said that China will conduct technology export reviews in accordance with laws and regulations and respect the wishes of its overseas enterprise. He further expressed hope that the U.S. will work with China towards policies of mutual benefit and win-win cooperation. Both parties said they understood the importance of a stable China-U.S. economic and trade relationship. Well, here's China's international negotiator Li Changgang on the framework agreement. Let's listen in.
On the TikTok issue, China has always been against the politicization, instrumentalization, and weaponization of technology, trade, and economic issues, and will never seek any agreement at the expense of principles, the interests of the companies, and international fairness and justice. In this meeting, revolving around TikTok as well as other Chinese concerns, the two sides held candid and in-depth exchanges and reached a basic framework consensus on properly resolving relevant issues concerning TikTok through cooperation, on reducing barriers to investment, and on promoting relevant trade and economic cooperation. The two teams will continue to maintain close communication and engage in consultation over the details of the relevant outcome documents, and each side will also go through relevant or their respective domestic approval processes.
Well, let's cross over to Madrid, where Li Jianhua is standing by. Li Jianhua, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us here on Africa Live. Now, the two sides have confirmed reaching a framework agreement on TikTok. How much details has the Chinese side revealed about the framework deal? And what happens next on the TikTok issue? What do we know?
Well, Richard, all through the past 2 days, all attention was on whether there would be an agreement on TikTok, and now we have this framework agreement. But Richard, let's not forget that they're still waiting for the president's sign-off. Possibly on Friday, we understand that both presidents will have a phone conversation to finalize the detail on Friday. Just a recap and some background information about the TikTok's American operation, the status of that. So far, we know it is quite time sensitive, as the deadline for TikTok's American operation will be on the 17th of September. That is right after the trade talks end here in Madrid. If there is no agreement, if there is no deal, TikTok's American operation could face a ban, or it could simply go dark. Or there could be another extension. We don't know yet as well. We're still waiting what will happen on Friday. So the Chinese delegation gave a 20-minute long press conference hosted by Li Changgang, the trade representative, and Wang Jingtao, who is the cybersecurity official. And you have shown us in the clip just now, Li said China is very much against politicizing technology, trade, and economy, and there wouldn't be any agreement at the expense of the company's interest, referring to TikTok. Here, Wang, the cybersecurity official, said it was candid and in-depth and constructive. And so this is what they're going to do. This is quite technical, but Richard, I'm trying to explain, especially it was translation from Chinese into English. So they are resolving the TikTok issue through such methods as entrusted operation of TikTok's US user data and content security business, and the licensed use of algorithms. So does it mean that the American operation of TikTok will have to get the license from ByteDance, to the parent company of TikTok, the video sharing app, to use this algorithm? So that is very important. I think we need an expert to explain more, to go into details, because the cybersecurity official didn't go in too much detail because it's too technical. And both will guide their enterprises for the following procedure. Does it mean that they have already found a buyer of TikTok's US operation already. There was a question put to Li Chenggang, the trade representative, why did you reach such a framework? And he said that China and the US talks should never deviate from mutual respect. And he said after appraisal and assessment, it is in the interest of both countries. And in the meantime, the United States has also expressed the willingness to reduce barrier to further investment. And that is the reason they reached such a framework from China's perspective.
Right, well, we've heard a little bit of what the Chinese delegation is saying. What more can you add to what the U.S. delegation is saying?
Well, Richard, after 6 hours of intense talks today, the U.S. delegation just gave a short statement and they took a couple of questions from the media pool. We were there just outside the building, outside the venue where they had the talks for 2 days. Jameson Greer, the U.S. trade representative, said they struck a framework agreement on transferring TikTok's American operation to America-controlled ownership. So that's the key, America-controlled operation, and everyone is picking on that. And they are still waiting for the president's sign-off. That is Friday, as I said just now. What we are trying to find out is, will there be another extension? It is only about 2 days away. I put that question to Jameson Greer and Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary. They said they didn't give me any direct answer whether there will be another extension, but Jameson Greer said they would like to give it more time. Doesn't mean there will be another extension. Let's see and find out. Scott Bessent said they are trying to make sure that it was a deal fair for the Chinese and that respects completely the U.S. national interests and national concerns. He also said this, which is quite interesting. I'm quoting him. They are not talking about commercial terms because that is between two private companies, but commercial terms have been agreed upon. Does this signify that they have already found a potential buyer of TikTok's American operation? Again, that is quite interesting. Let's see and find out. So again, everything we will find out on Friday, I'm afraid.
Okay, we'll have to wait till Friday. Important point that you brought to light there for us. But before we let you go, what other highlights do you have from the latest press conference on the second day of the China-U.S. trade talks?
Oh, Richard, you know, TikTok is the sticking point, apparently, and is high on the agenda. I have to say that I think they were talking about TikTok specifically for over the past 2 days, and we understood from people inside the venue that they were trying to reach out. They were calling US President to find out the detail, to give the sign-offs if they should reach this framework or not. So they were trying to do just that. But there were other issues, of course, they talked about. They talked about some general issues, including trade imbalance between the world's two largest economies, the issue that they have been trying to address over the past year. So that is one of the biggest reasons why China and the United States started the trade war starting 2018. And now this is the trade war 2.0, I have been calling it. They also talked about some potential cooperation between China and the United States on combating money laundering. Richard, there have been some very heated exchanges ahead of the trade talks. The United States added 23 Chinese companies to its entity list. And China also launched 2 investigations against the United States concerning semiconductor and some certain types of IC chips. And also today, NVIDIA. According to the preliminary investigation into NVIDIA, China has released a statement saying that the chip company, has violated China's antitrust law. I asked Scott Bessent this question, did you talk about NVIDIA? He said, yes, we did, and we talked about the bad timing of this event. So there is a lot going on. They talked a lot beyond trade, and they also talk about some international policies, economy, and everything else.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Li Jianhua reporting live from Madrid. Thanks for that.